Welcome to the Westport Library. Today's program will begin momentarily. Supported by Verso Studios, created locally and shared with the world.
Good afternoon. Oh, hi. Good afternoon. My name is ChaChanna Simpson, and I am excited that you guys have braved the cold to come and watch our storytelling show this evening. What you're about to hear are stories from storytellers that I love, who are going to tell amazing stories. This started, actually, Storytelling Sundays as an open mic, which started in March of 2024. Storytellers would come based on a theme, they'd tell their story, and over the course of these years, these months, I have been honored and privileged to hear the stories that our storytellers have come, some for the first time, and some who are more seasoned. But the connection and the joy that comes from sharing a story, because you'll hear a story, it may not be exactly how you experience something, but there's something that you're like, oh yeah, I don't feel so alone, or that happened to me. Or maybe it'll be a laugh and you'll just have a great time, because we are gonna have a great time here today, yes? Yes. I'm almost convinced. Oh, thank you, woohoo, indeed. So, I also want to thank the Westport Library for allowing me to have this as a home for storytelling shows. They have been so wonderful. We have audio, we're on the stage, and it's just, they're so welcoming. So we could not have done this without them, but also in partnership with Northeast Storytelling, which is a premier storytelling organization in the Northeast, helping storytellers promote, educate, and supporting them as they grow in their in their storytelling profession. And you can learn more about that at Nest Storytelling, N-E-S-T-O-R, let me see, can I spell? NESTORYTELLING.org. I think I got that right. So before I carry on, each storyteller, I ask them a simple question. What is one small holiday tradition or moment that always makes the season feel special to you? You can think about how that means to you, but I will share their answers with you. Our first storyteller is Jennifer Monroe, a seasoned storyteller, known for weaving personal narrative with myth, legend, and allegory. She's a Circle of Excellence Award winner and has performed on stages across the country and internationally, and now she's here. Most recently, Jennifer created and performed a one-woman show of A Christmas Carol, which critics have described as dazzling and spellbinding. She's really good. So Jennifer shared that as a little girl, in her words, when we wrote our letters to Santa, we had to crumple them into a ball. We could never fold them. And then one time, my brothers, my sister, and I would stick our hand up the chimney as far as it would go, hold out the crumpled ball on the palm of our hands, and then in one magical moment, one of Santa's elves would whisk it away to the North Pole. How lucky. Please welcome Jennifer Monroe. This is good for you. Okay.
I'm just a little pipsqueak.
Is that good?
Probably a little higher.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right.
Marley was dead. Oh no, that was last night. Okay. This story is called Blue Skis. Elegant Christmas music filled the lightly pine-scented air as we gazed at the gingerbread houses decorated with their candy gems, at the workshops with their mechanical elves busily making toys, and periodically the reindeer would look up and gaze at us as we walked along. And when my 8-year-old son, Ben, so you can tell how long ago this story took place, and I got to the little grotto where Santa was sitting, I was shocked to see that no one was waiting in line. And we looked at his rosy red cheeks, bushy white beard, kindly blue twinkling eyes. And he looked over as if he were grateful for the company. And then he looked at my son, Ben, and he patted his knee for Ben to go and sit down. Well, this was 3 days before Christmas, and I'd had to take Ben, my 8-year-old son, for a doctor's appointment. And I suggested on the way back to the car that we stop at Carson Pirie Scott and Company, now a defunct department store, because their Santaland was so lovely. And as I looked at Santa, I was really sad that I hadn't brought my Ben's younger brother along to see this, but so it goes. Anyway, Ben was a little reluctant because I'd already taken the boys to see Santa when he came to our local shopping mall, but I gave him a little push. What harm could it do for him to sit and tell Santa what he wanted twice? So he went and sat down, and then Santa looked in my direction and patted his other knee. And I thought, oh, there must be another family who's arrived. And I turned around, but no one was there. And I looked over at Santa, and he patted his knee, and he quite clearly meant me. And I felt this irresistible urge to travel back in time. So I went and sat down. And as soon as I did so, Santa turned to Ben and said, I remember your mom when she was a little girl. Well, Proust's Madeline, and Santa's words and the expression on my son's face, which was one of simple, uncomplicated belief, couldn't have brought back the magic of Christmas so swiftly. And then, of course, Santa said to Ben, and what would you like for Christmas, young man? And without hesitation, Ben said, I'd like a pair of downhill skis, please, Santa. You know, the downhill skis that hadn't been on any one of the many lists that he had written to Santa Claus. He had never been downhill skiing before in his life. And at the time, we lived in Illinois, where hills simply do not grow on trees. But Santa said, I'll make sure that the elves find a special pair just for you in time for Christmas. Now, there are only 2 days to go before Christmas, and I just hoped that Santa would make good on his promise. And I shouldn't have doubted him. On Christmas morning, when Ben tore into the last gift that bore his name, he squealed, blue skis! They were perfect. Little blue plastic skis, perfect for the little hills around where we lived. And wouldn't you just know it, Santa had brought Andrew one of those, well, they were new in those days, those round metal sleds, so that they had the equal number of Christmas gifts. While I put the finishing touches to dinner, Eric took the boys into the back garden so that Ben could practice with his skis. He built little hills out of the snow. And then he showed Andrew, I think rather too many times, how to slip down the slide on that new sled. And I looked at all the gifts that they had begged Santa for. They all lay forgotten. Well, the next day, as you know, in Great Britain is Boxing Day, we met up with my good friend Chris Hack at Maple Lake, the location of the one sizable hill near to where we lived. We were going sledding. But the evening before, there'd been a thaw followed by a freeze, and so the hill had a thin coating of ice, too dangerous for those skis, but perfect for sledding. Ben's disappointment didn't last long, and soon the kids were whooping and hollering as they flew down the hill and across the frozen lake at the bottom. Now, I do not know what possessed me, but I looked down at those blue skis and I strapped them to my feet. My friend Chris took one look and she yelled, "Don't!" But it was too late. the blue plastic connected with the ice, and I was away. As I shot by her, she looked horrified, and I could see my entire life flash before her eyes. I picked up speed. The wind was roaring past my ears. Tears filled my eyes. And despite my tears, as I went past the kids who were busy pulling their sleds up the side of the hill, despite those tears, and then time suddenly slowed down, which we all know is not a good sign. And I could see the look, first of horror, and then abject fear flash across each little face. And I thought to myself, I'm going to die, and these children know it. But then I got to Ben. He looked neither frightened nor horrified. In fact, his little face had that simple, uncomplicated look of sheer belief in my skill as a skier. I had never been downhill skiing in my life before either. Ben started to chant, "Go, Mom, go. You can do it, you can do it. Go, Mom, go." The other kids joined in. "Go, go, go. You can do it, you can do it." Inspired, I hunkered down over my skis the way I'd seen expert skiers do it. By now I had reached warp speed. The frozen landscape was a blur. The ice beneath my skis was just a slick smear. My heartbeat picked up the kids' chant, "Go, go, go. You can do it, you can do it. Go, go, go." The hill started to straighten out. I could see the frozen lake ahead. I shot across it. When I hit the ice-encrusted weeds on the far bank, I shot into the air with a yelp of elation. I leant forward over my skis in the manner of a Norwegian ski jumper. Fortunately, the ice covering the snow shattered when I hit it. Thrown forward by the momentum of my flight, I was buried deep in the snow, but by some miracle, I was still alive. And I hadn't broken any bones. And soon I heard Chris and the kids laughing and slipping as they came across the lake. They hauled me out. I lost one of the skis and one boot. We looked everywhere for them, couldn't find them. And before I got frostbite, we decided to go home for hot chocolate. And as we walked back up the hill, Ben slipped his hand into mine, something he hadn't volunteered to do now that he was getting older. And Andrew took hold of my other hand. And then Ben looked up at me and whispered, "Mom, this was the best Christmas ever." And as I held those tiny hands in mine, I couldn't help but agree with him. Thank you.
That was wonderful. I don't know what did possess you to do that. Oh my goodness, but you came out unscathed. She said only just. All right, our next storyteller, Laconia Thiraud. A professional storyteller and hospital chaplain from New Orleans, his stories are grounded, compassionate, and deeply human, shaped by a lifetime of listening. Laconia shared that one of his most treasured holiday memories is Mama's vegetable soup and gumbo. And I imagine the kind that carries love, history, and care. So welcome to the stage, Laconia. Might need a little. Is that good? Got it.
Hello. Well, ChaChanna calls me a couple months ago and she goes, we want you to do a personal story. And it's not my thing because I know Jen and I know Elizabeth and ChaChanna, and they did it. And when I said yes, ChaChanna went, woohoo! So I haven't a title for this, but this is a story I'm sharing with you today. 1959, I was 5 years old. And when I was 5 years old, I went to bed. My mom and dad woke me up. It was Christmas time. And we lived in what is called a shotgun house. And you can shoot a bullet from the front to the back of the house with all the doors open. I woke up sleepily. I went to the front door and they said, look outside. And when I looked outside, they said, no, look the other way. And I have been looking ever since. In my family, I was the encourager, I was the protector, I was the counselor. And in my body, I think I took in all of my family's joys and pains. When I was 11 in 1965, it was New Year's Eve. And when it was New Year's Eve, I remember standing out in front of the house, the apartment where we lived. I heard all the lights, I heard all the sounds, and for some unknown reason, I started counting from 1965 to 2000. And I said, oh my God, I'll be 46 years in 2000. Well, I made it, and I'm still here. 1967 to 1971. December 26th, Boxing Day in Canada and Britain. But in my house, it was, for my brother and I, the best day, because it was the day we get to be adults. Mama would let us sit down and she'd bring out a bottle of Chivas Regal and Crown Royal Scotch whiskeys. And she would pour, and our teenage and pre-teenage selves, we would drink and drink and drink while we sang and sang and sang. That was Mama, and it was always Mama. 1993, I'm sitting with my brother and sister at a table, a kitchen table. Daddy's been gone many years. He died in '79. Herman and Twyla are talking about how great a family we had. They have no negative memories. But me, I have negative memories. I remember Mom and Dad fighting. I remember separating them. And I'm sitting there and I'm frozen. How do I say what I want to say? Because if I'm quiet, it means I agree. And so I find myself saying these words, Herman and Twyla, I am not telling you that your experience was not a good one. But your experience was not my experience. And to their credit, they felt that that was okay. And it was. One Christmas, her name was Aunt Mildred. Aunt Mildred was my dad's older sister. He had 3. I'm the oldest of 3. My dad had 5 kids by his first wife. So 7 of his kids are named Wilson, and 1 is only named Terrio, and that's me, my mother's maiden name. I don't know if it was because I was the oldest of the 3, but I always expected the oldest would get at least a relatively expensive gift. But my Aunt Mildred and my Aunt Dot and my TT, when they would give gifts to us, my brother and sister always seemed to get the best gifts, and I got, I don't know, gifts. One year, Aunt Mildred gave me a plastic football. I thought that was cool until I saw my brother's football. It was leather. And it seemed like it came from Tulane Stadium or Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge. And I just remembered how that little boy felt who was the oldest son. Adults have a way of communicating that you don't belong without saying that you don't belong. Years later, I'm in Louisiana with my mother. My mother and I have had a tough time over the years. And I've been in therapy for about 18 or 19 years. And this time I go home to Louisiana and say, Ma, we need to have a talk. And she said, okay. I said, Ma, have you recognized that I've been angry at you and Daddy over the years? And Mother said, son, I knew that you've been angry at us for years, but why? And she gave me permission to tell her my memories, and I did. And she listened, and she listened, and she listened. When I finished, direct quote, she said, boy, I really fucked you up, didn't I? And I said, Mother, you didn't fuck me up, but you gave me what I needed. You heard me. A day or two later, my mother and I were talking, and we both decided that if either of us died before the other, whoever was left behind would not have to feel any guilt. And when I got the call on August 6th, 2000, my brother said, she's gone. I felt the shock. I got off the phone and I just sat in my living room and sat. And I remember about an hour and a half to 2 hours after that, I remember thinking and smiling, wow, I don't feel any guilt. Christmas is a very significant holiday in my life. You have the plastic football, the red beans and the rice, the gumbo, the vegetable soup. I also have the loving memory of a bridge that was created between a mother and her son. And I have this. I always go back to that 5-year-old little boy when his dad and mom said, when he looked outside, no, look the other way. And when I looked the other way, I saw Santa sitting under a streetlight. And I heard him say these words, ho, ho, ho. And all I remember that little 5-year-old boy doing was,
Another hand for Laconia, please. Fantastic, Laconia. Laconia usually tells like myths, fairy tales, or those type of things. So that's why he wasn't pleased with me when he agreed to tell a personal story.
I still hate you.
He still hates me. That's okay. You did it. Thank you for sharing. Our next storyteller is Elizabeth Anton. She has been telling stories for most of her life. In fact, one of her earliest performances was at the age of 2.5 when she memorized green eggs and ham and pretended to read it to impress her uncle. And she's been telling stories in one form or another ever since. Elizabeth is a vibrant part of the Connecticut storytelling community and crafts stories drawn from her own experiences, bringing warmth, humor, and familiarity to the stage. She told me, the season feels special when she's decorating her house and tree, Christmas music is playing, and she's sipping coquito, and hopefully doing it with a friend. Please welcome Elizabeth Anton. make sure this is good for you. Good?
Yeah, perfect. Coquito, for those of you who may not know, is the Puerto Rican version of eggnog, and it's coconut-based as opposed to egg and milk-based, and it is amazing. So I'm going to tell a story about spending Thanksgiving with my Cuban cousins in New Jersey. It's called The Flying Turkey. So I'm really excited about the prospect of spending Thanksgiving with my cousins. I don't get to see them very often. This is my father's side of the family, and you'll understand they live in New Jersey. But I'm really excited. And I'm excited to see my cousin, Raul, who is maybe 5 or 6 years older than me, his wife, and his 2 youngest children, who are, 11 and 13 or something. His eldest son is also going to be there, whom I haven't seen in years. And best of all, my Aunt Lydia is going to be there. Now, Tia, I used to shout in Puerto Rico growing up as a child. She is, in the very best sense of the word, a Cuban matriarch. She's stunningly beautiful, my Aunt Lydia. Her hair was always coiffed, is still always coiffed at the age of 96, I think, 97, I lose count. She is stunningly beautiful. Her style, still to this day, is amazing. And I remember as a child going to visit her and just worshiping her. So I'm especially excited to go and get a big hug from my Aunt Lydia. And so I arrive bearing gifts. My world-famous cranberry sauce, which I make using an old Dutch recipe that belonged to an old boyfriend's family, I think, for generations, and most importantly, my world-famous beer bread, which I make for every occasion to which I'm invited. So I arrive, and we all crowd around in the kitchen. I mean, little kids, everybody's there, and we're in the process, we're passing around spoons, tasting my cranberry sauce, and everyone's oohing and eyeing, and no one notices that my aunt, Tia Lydia, goes to the oven and opens it to check on the turkey. She takes it out, it's in a big Pyrex, and she takes it out and puts it on the stove. What happens next is a shock to everyone. The Pyrex explodes. Boom! And the glass goes flying, and the turkey goes flying across the kitchen. Now, my cousin Raul attempts to catch it like a football, right? And it just sails right through his arms and lands on the floor with a thud. We're just standing. But within 2 seconds, Raul has scooped it up off the floor and plunked it into the kitchen, and he's now showering it off. He's actually, yes, cleaning the turkey. Well, the rest of us are just standing, and my aunt goes, "Pero no fui yo, no fui yo." It wasn't me, it was not me. Okay, so my other cousin and I go and grab the broom, we shoo the kids out of the kitchen, and meanwhile, Maria, Raul's wife, sidles up to him and pats him on the shoulder and goes, "Ay, papi, papito querido, my darling husband, you're doing such a great job cleaning off this turkey. But maybe it's not, we shouldn't eat it." "Pero por qué no? Esto va a estar perfectamente bien," he says. "Why not? It's going to be perfectly fine." And she says, "Well, ay, papi." And she sidles away, and he's vigorously showering off the turkey. Well, we all pitch in to clean up the glass and the grease that is splattered over everywhere. And I'm thinking in my head, oh my God, what are we going to do? We haven't got a turkey. Well, my cousin hasn't quite faced this reality yet, but his eldest son, Ricardo, goes up to him in no uncertain terms and says, "Hey, Dad, what the hell are you doing? We're not eating that. Shit. It's got glass in it, don't you understand? And so my cousin sort of looks up, and he's a little stunned, and his wife then sidles in very diplomatically and says, Papi, you've done such a great job, but maybe it's not a great idea, you know. Our children, I mean, they could get really injured. And then my aunt steps in after she'd gone around, you know, talking about how she hadn't done it, and says, oh, son, hijo mío, my lovely son, what if our children eat this turkey and they get glass inside them and their insides get shredded, papito lindo? How can we live? How can we live with the knowledge that we killed our own children? This is my aunt. Okay, at this point, my cousin Raul heaves a mighty sigh and sort of slumps over the chicken and pulls it up, you know, by one drumstick and goes and plunks it into the garbage, where it lands with a huge thud. Now, all this time, I'm thinking, oh my God, I have never had Thanksgiving without a turkey. I mean, do people have Thanksgiving without turkey? I'm sure they must, but not me. So I'm thinking, and I come up with this brilliant idea. I'm like, oh my God, Raul, let's go buy a turkey fryer, one of those deep fryers, you know how they use in the South? We'll buy a deep fryer for the turkey, we'll buy the oil, we'll get a turkey, and you know what? We'll be able to fry up that turkey within less than an hour, and we'll be able to eat at 6, which was the plan. He goes, great idea, great. And so we jump into his car, and we go off to BJ's. Well, BJ's is closed, but never fear, we're off to Walmart. Walmart is closed, but never fear, we're off to Lowe's. Lowe's is closed, but how about Home Depot? Well, when we get to Home Depot and Home Depot is closed, it suddenly dawns on me that maybe all the stores are closed. And I say to Raul, you know, all right, you know what? Forget about the turkey fryer. Let's just go to Stop and Shop. Let's go and we're gonna buy ourselves a turkey, and we're gonna be able to cook it as normal. Great idea, he says. And so we go off to Stop and Shop and make a beeline for the turkey section, and we find hundreds of turkeys in a pile. They're all deeply frozen. They're all frozen. And it occurs to me as I'm standing there feeling sheepish that we're not gonna be able to defrost this turkey in time to then cook it in time to eat for 6 o'clock. So Raul says to me, "Ay, prima, come. And he leads me to the area of Stop and Shop where they have the pre-cooked foods under the lamps. You know, they have like salads and soups and whatever. And we go, and he starts to forage around, and there's like one, like chicken drumstick, and there are 2 dried ribs, and there's nothing there. And I said, we can't eat this nonsense. Come on, no. Listen, we're Cuban, we're gonna make a pork. We're gonna make a pork. So off we go. I make a beeline right for the pork section. I think we can substitute pork for turkey. It's not a big deal. And on my way to the pork section, I see out of the corner of my eye in one of the aisles 2 sort of funny-looking packages stuck between the ketchup and the mayonnaise. And I don't know what makes me stop, but something does. And I kind of make a U-turn down the aisle, and I pull these packages out from where they don't belong, and eureka, they are 2 5-pound turkey breasts, mostly unfrozen. So clearly, they were put there by some shopper who changed their mind, didn't want them, and just stuffed them in the first convenient place. Now, don't you hate those people? I hate those people. You know, when you find stuff in the supermarket that's not where it belongs, you think, God, these people are so thoughtless. And all of a sudden, those people became my heroes. And so I go running to Raul, mira, tengo pavo. I've got turkey. And so we rush back home, and I go into the kitchen with my turkey, and of course my tia Elvia Dame ese pavo, Elizabeth. Give me that turkey. We have to make sure that we dress that turkey properly, and we do it Cuban style. And of course, what that is code for is, get out of my kitchen, only I know how to do these things. My tia Elvia, at the age of 95 or 6 or 7, still rules that kitchen with an iron hand. So we all gently step out of the kitchen, let her do her thing, and I can tell you that at about 7 p.m., all of us, there were about 20 of us, are seated on 3 long tables eating little bits of turkey, but turkey nevertheless. So, you know, after dinner, we all crowded into the big living room around. They have got a fireplace, and I'm scrunched on the couch between my cousin Raul's youngest son and his eldest son, right? And we're all taking turns telling stories of the flying turkey, right? And each teller embellishes a little more, exaggerates a little more, until finally, right, I see the family settling on the most hilarious, outrageous version of the story that does not blame my aunt. And you know, I'm sitting there feeling drowsy. I'm in my turkey-induced stupor. And I'm thinking, you know, how wonderful it is for me to see how this story is bringing us together. Do you know how we are creating something that's going to exist in our family lore, right? Something, a story that we'll be able to tell for generations to come. And I feel so much part of my family. Thank you.
One more for Elizabeth. That was definitely determination. I would have just ordered out. You're like, no, we're getting this food. Thank you for sharing. Our next storyteller, Tanette Correa, is a storyteller who believes stories are bridges connecting generations, cultures, and hearts. She tells stories with intention and joy, always hoping each one offers something that resonates with someone who needs it. Tanette shared that her holiday magic comes from decorating the tree together as a family, music playing, and ending the night with hot chocolate. That sounds divine. Please welcome Tanette Correa. Is that good?
Yeah. Okay. Happy holidays, everyone. My story is called Zion Lutheran. I'm sitting on the sidelines in a church pew, and I'm waiting for my moment when I can finally step into the light of the Christmas pageant. I'm 6 years old, I'm in the 1st grade, and I am just excited for my moment, and I want the lead. I think really big. I want the role like my siblings had before me. I want to be Mary. And I can see it already. I can see myself standing under the lights in front of the beautiful altar right next to the homemade manger. I can hear the applause already. Year after year, I sit in the pews watching this beautiful story unfold in front of me. I watch the sheep being guided by their shepherds, wearing some kind of wool beard held on with some mysterious goo that you know is going to take them weeks to get off their faces. And then the wise men walking down the aisle in their regal robes, carrying their gold, frankincense, and myrrh, singing in unison, beautifully, We Three Kings. And at the center of it all are Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, the reason that we're all gathered here. This all begins at Zion Lutheran Elementary School. It's a parochial school in Bridgeport, Connecticut. Zion is more like a haven to me. The walls within those buildings were like a second home. I was a part of the school before I was even old enough to attend, with 6 siblings and cousins paving the way before me. And of course, my mom, ever involved. She was the PTA president. She was always doing something at the school. I can still remember her in the cafeteria dishing out her sloppy joes, which would later become the staple in the cafeteria, as well as a staple, unfortunately, in our home. We were so close at this school. We were a community. In fact, we were so close that my kindergarten teacher was my babysitter at some point, and that didn't seem weird because I knew everyone. I knew all the teachers, and they all knew the Vereen 7, me being the youngest of the crew. There was always something going on there that was fabulous at that school, from plays to talent shows, and of course, our all-time favorite, our Halloween festivities, where we would often bob for apples. And I'm pretty sure that in 2025, that would not fly, with a bunch of people sticking their heads in a tub of water, eating half-eaten apples. Oh, my goodness. But nothing compared to the Christmas pageant at Zion Lutheran. It was the crown jewel of our festivities. From the warm lights to the parents helping sewing these beautiful costumes, to the teachers and the music. There is nothing like a Christmas song, and I so love them. Everyone was involved at some capacity, but I wanted to be the center of it all. I wanted to be Mary. So I auditioned. First, I practice. The day comes, and I'm ready. I can't tell you what I was wearing. I can't tell you what I ate, but I can tell you I was confident as I walked into the room, all the teachers sitting at the table in the library with their pens and paper watching, and I sang and I danced and I gave it my all. I performed, and I felt good. And as I walked out, I thought to myself, I've got that role. When the cast list goes up in the library, I am so excited. I run to the cast list, I search for my name, and I look, and my face drops. My name is next to an angel. I'm not Mary. I didn't get the lead. How can that be? I was amazing. I practiced. I was devastated. And as I continued to read, I realized that my siblings also had roles in the Christmas pageant, but that didn't register. And it was probably the first time and the only time that all 7 of us would be together. But I can only think of me, and I wanted to be Mary. Later that night, my mom pulls me aside and does the mom thing as only she can do. She has this way about her of being able to balance empathy, a mean platitude, and just really validating how you're feeling. I don't remember how the conversation went, but I do remember it would have started with a game of connecting the dots for a distraction. And then she would have reminded me to be grateful, to find something positive. I still get to be a part of the magic. I still get to be in the pageant. I get to be an angel where I wear a beautiful white costume with wings and a halo. I still get lines, lots of them, And I still get to sing my beloved Christmas songs from "Oh Come, Let Us Adore Him," in Latin no less, and "Angels We Have Heard on High." I get it. I hear her. I don't like it, but I get it. And then I start to feel better. And then she gives me a treat. Now I feel much better. And the big day has arrived. And I am so excited. The teachers are helping kids remember their lines, and parents are doing last-minute costume updates and helping them with their makeup. And then I get the cue. It's my turn. And I step out onto the stage, and I'm in a pulpit above the altar, above the pews. And I look out, and I see the lights, and I see the families, and I'm having my moment. I deliver my lines, and I even get to sing songs from up there. I think to myself, I'm really happy. The rest of the pageant goes off without a hitch. And at the end, everyone exits while walking out to joy to the world. As years pass by, I realize that it wasn't about the pageant or the solos. It was about the community that we created. I realized that I was learning to become the person who I am. I learned that you don't always get everything that you want, and that's an important lesson for everyone to learn. I learned that not everything will go your way, but somehow joy can still find you. Thank you.
One more time for Tanette. So Tanette started coming to the open mics and has grown ever since. So this is her first time being on a main stage. I'm so proud of you. Good job. The first of many, I'm sure. So before I get started, the stories that you've heard before were personal stories remembered as the teller has decided to remember them. I say this because the story I'm about to tell is not, and I don't want you to be confused. It's Christmas Eve, 1989. My brother and I are standing at the top of the stairs in our footy pajamas, impatiently waiting for the clock to strike 8 p.m. so we can go downstairs and open our Christmas Eve gift. What do you think we're gonna get? Richard asked me. I'm actually surprised he's asking me because he's known for shaking packages until they are shredded to guess what's inside. One year, he shook my mother's Mommogram's white wine glasses to pieces. I want a Cabbage Patch doll, and my brother, I know he wants a Nintendo Entertainment System. At 7:59 p.m., we stand at the ready, waiting as the gold clock's second hand ticks, slowly, taking forever to make it to its destination. 3, 2, 1, my brother tears off. Wait for me! I try to push him out the way so I can get there first. One of us slips, taking the other sliding down the stairs, and we collide at the bottom on the carpeted floor. Richard and Shauna. We freeze. Our mother does not like noise. Yes, we answer in unison. Come here. We get up, shaking off, feeling a little achy, but nothing a little presence can't heal. We walk, run down the hallway, and turn into the living room. We stop. The Christmas tree is so beautiful. It's in the center of the room. Each branch hosts a gold, green, and red ornament ball. The color lights dance to deck the halls with bells of holly. And the piece de la résistance, the presents. It looked like the most beautiful treasure. Our mother, knowing us well, grabbed our hands. You only get to choose one. Aw, Ma. Keep going. I'll send you upstairs, you won't get nothing. We shut our traps. Our mother has always proven to be a woman of her word. We circle the tree like lions closing in on their prey. We have to choose wisely. This is serious business. My eyes land on a big gold box with a matching gold bow. The card that reads, "To Shauna from Dada." I ravenously tear it open. I stop. Was this gift supposed to be for Richard? I'm staring at a toy soldier with very short legs and a big head. He's got a green hat, black cape on his back, black leather boots, and shiny brass buttons on his red painted coat. I did want a doll, but I was thinking something more with long flowing hair that I could cut and feet I could chew on. It's a phase, don't judge me. Not wanting to seem ungrateful, I slap on his mouth. Thanks, Dada, I love it. He smiles at me, he knows. He picks up a nut, puts it in the toy soldier's mouth, picks up the cape on the back, closes back down, crack! The nut splits in half. Maybe this isn't such a stupid gift after all. Shauna, this gift is for you, but I expect you to share it with your brother. Yeah, of course. Knowing full and well I have no intention of sharing it. This is mine. Out of nowhere, Richard comes. He's ugly, grabs the doll out of my hand, and before I can stop him, he shoves the nuts inside the mouth, puts the cape up and down, and I watch as nuts and teeth fall to the floor. You broke it! I swing out my arm, and I miss him by this much. Such a shame. I take the doll, I sit on the floor, tears are flowing down my face. My grandfather cups my cheek with one hand and wipes my tears away with the other. It's okay, Shauna. I'll fix it. In the morning, it'll be just like new. Okay. My mother comes back into the room and declares it's time for all the good girls and all the good boys to go to bed. My brother continues to play, he ignores her, until he's verbally threatened. And then she decides it's probably best to escort him to his room in case he gets distracted or gets lost. I sit by the tree, holding my nutcracker, waiting for my mother to come and collect me. My eyes, they are so tired. I just close them for a second. When I open them, everything is different. The tree was big before, but now it's ginormous. The presents under the tree, they're like 7 feet tall. I feel like one of the kids in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Everything is so huge and I'm so tiny. Trying to get my mind around what's happening when in front of me, I see a big, fat rat with 7 heads, each carrying a crown, all looking at me. Then an army appears behind it. Hundreds, thousands of mice lined in perfect rows. I quickly push the doll chair up against the toy box and climb up on top of the toy box. I lean over the side, can't catch me. My victory is short-lived as the mice start climbing up the side of the toy box. Panicking, I start kicking and flailing my arms until I hear a crack. Oh no, I broke the glass top of my mother's toy box. She's gonna be so mad. In that moment, I don't know who I'm more afraid of, the mice or my mother. The shattering glass is enough of a distraction that the mice run back to their walls. I get up to do my celebratory dance because Shauna won, mice none. I'm interrupted by people shouting. I look over the other side of the toy box and I see dolls, puppets, candy people all running around. And my nutcracker, wasn't doing nothing before, pops up and declares, "Soldiers, to me, to me." The mice respond to the nutcracker's call, pour back into the living room and chant, "We are mice, we are strong, we can fight you all night long. We are mice, we are strong, we can fight you all night long." A battle breaks out into the living room. The toy army are shooting cannons full of gumballs, nuts, and sugar plums. The mice are armed with tiny bows and arrows and muskets. And no matter how hard the toy army fights, they are being overpowered by the mice. I watch in horror as the toy army goes smaller and smaller and smaller. While the armies are fighting, the king of mice decides he wants to fight the Nutcracker, my Nutcracker. I want to help, but I don't have any weapons. Then I remember what I've seen my mother do when she sees a mouse. I take my slipper off and I throw it. Thwack! It hits the back of the king of mice. It turns around to look at me, and I can tell by all the looks on their faces, they ain't like that too much. But it's enough of a distraction for the Nutcracker to deliver the final blow. With their leader gone, the mice lose their courage and start running back to their holes. The toy army, they're hyped. They start chasing them, say, "Yeah, don't come back, you losers." I get excited, caught up in it. I say, "Yeah, cowards." I don't see the candy cane in front of me. I trip over and I hit my head. The next thing I know, my mother's gently shaking me. "Shauna, wake up, it's Christmas." I open my eyes to find myself in my strawberry shortcake bed and my Nutcracker lying next to me. "Ma, you're never gonna believe what happened. There was a toy army and a mouse army." No, Shauna," my mother interrupts, rude. "You fell asleep by the tree. We picked you up, we brought you to the bed, and you've been here ever since." I felt with that information. "No, you don't understand. There was a mouse army and there was a toy army, and I took my slipper and I threw it." Shauna, enough. Cut the foolishness. Get yourself together so we can go downstairs and open some presents." And ever since then, I have continuously tried to explain to her my adventures on that Christmas Eve. But she doesn't believe me, convinced that I made it up. Like, what kid is gonna make up a story about a toy army fighting a mouse army and a king with 7? She might have an idea, might have a point, but you believe me, don't you? Thank you. And this concludes our program. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all the storytellers. Thank you to Elizabeth, Jennifer, Laconia, Tanette. Thank you for being here and sharing your stories. Thank you for coming to witness our stories. Storytelling Sundays, we will be back on the main stage again in February 15th, and the theme will be love. Thank you guys for coming. Have a great night.